Alright guys, welcome back, and now we're going to be looking at solving the quadratic equation using the completing the square method. Now remember, the completed square form is a open bracket x plus h all squared plus k, and we're using it to solve the equation. So that is essentially what we're going to be using. And also, if you notice, we have a involved in the completed square form, and there is a h also involved, and the formula for h is simply h is equal to b over 2a, and there is also a k involved, and k is equal to 4ac minus b squared all over 4a. So in order for us to solve this quadratic equation using the completed square form, I need to know what a is, what h is, and what k is, and then get the form and then proceed to solve it to get the values for the unknown, which in this case is x. So I'm going to put this over here so we can use that as a reference point and get into the process now of solving. Now again, when you are solving any quadratic equation, in this case it's 2x squared minus 5x minus 3 equals 0, we have to check to see if it's in the general form. I cannot reiterate enough how much this is important for us, because you will neglect to do it and then you will misidentify what A, B, and C are. So in this particular case, you can clearly see that the value of A is 2, the value of B is minus 5, and the value of C is minus 3. So remember, as far as the completed square form goes, we need the value of A, which we have here. We need to find h, so we need to employ the formula to determine what h is. So h is equal to b over 2a. So we're simply going to plug in the relevant values. So h is simply going to be equal to minus 5 over 2, and the value of a is 2. So this is going to be minus 5 over 4. So the value of h is minus 5 over 4. So we're just going to keep that over here. All right. And we're going to now proceed to determine the value of k. Now, k is simply equal to 4ac minus b squared all over 4a. So what we're going to be doing now is plugging in these relevant values into the formula to determine what the value of k is. So k is going to be equal to 4, the value of a is 2, the value of c is minus 3, minus, and ensure that you put whatever value is for b in brackets. In this case, b is minus 5. Be very careful at this, because I see often where students change the sign before the square, and all of that is incorrect. You have to square first. All right? So watch that. And a is 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times minus 3 is minus 24. The minus comes back here, and then we're going to square negative 5. So be careful with here. You don't change the sign here when you have to square first. So you square first. So minus 5 all squared is 25, so it will be minus 25. And 4 times 2 is simply 8. So what we have here is negative 49 over 8. And that essentially is what the value of k is. Now, all we're going to do is, seeing that we have a, h, and k, is simply put that information into the completed square form and proceed to solve that. So remember, a is 2, h is negative 5 over 4, and k is minus 49 over 8. So we're going to get into that right away. So let me just put this up here so we can see clearly what these values are that we need to use. All right. So we're going to proceed now with the solution to this problem. Very, very, very easy and very, very, very straightforward. So let's get into the business now of working on this part. So the completed square form is a open bracket x plus h close bracket squared plus k and equal to 0. So what we're going to have is, let me just write this back so it stands out in your head. And then now we're going to proceed with the solution. Now the value of a is 2. The value of h is negative 5 over 4. So h is negative 5 over 4 all squared. The value of k is minus 49 over 8. And that's going to be equal to 0. So what we're going to do now, always carry over the k first. So this is what we're going to have. Negative goes over, becomes a positive. And then what we're going to do next is divide by whatever a is. So what we have here is, and this is going to be 49 over 8 divided by 2. You take your time and you work through the problem. So x minus 5 over 4 all squared equals 49 over 8. And when you're dividing by a number, change the operation and reciprocate. So x minus 5 over 4 all squared is equal to 49 over 16. All right, so that's where we are so far. So what we're going to be doing now is simply going to be square rooting essentially both sides, which means we're going to square root the right hand side. So I'm just going to move this out of the way and put this over here. So what we're going to be doing is going to be square rooting, and remember, when you're square rooting, it is plus or minus the square root of whatever you're square rooting. So this is going to be x minus 5 over 4, which is equal to plus or minus the square root of 49 over 16. Now, something is going to come up here that is going to shed some light on when you square root a fraction. Now, when you're actually square rooting a fraction, this is what essentially happens. And this is going to be equal to plus or minus. When you square root a fraction, it's the same thing as square rooting the numerator and square rooting the denominator. So, x minus 5 over 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 49 is 7, and the square root of 16 is 4. So from here now, we can actually proceed to branch off to get our two answers. So actually, in one case, we're going to have x minus 5 over 4 is equal to positive 7 over 4. And in the other case, x minus 5 over 4 is going to be equal to negative 7 over 4. So let's take a look at this side first. We're going to carry over the minus 5 over 4, and it's going to become positive. So x is going to be equal to 7 over 4 plus 5 over 4, and the denominators are the same. So we'll just simply add the numerators, and we can clearly see here that the value of x is going to be 3. Let's take a look at this side. So we're carrying over the minus 5 over 4, it's going to become positive. The denominators are the same. So you owe 7, you have $5 at home, and you owe somebody 7. When they come, you're going to give them the 5 and still owe them 2. So it's minus 2 over 4, which works out to be negative 1 over 2. So you can clearly see that we got the same answers with the previous two methods, right? And the completed square form works. And again, the completed square form is going to show itself in terms of usefulness when we get to graph work. So I just want you guys to focus on the actual solution using the completed square form. So I hope you guys found this video insightful, and I'll see you guys on the next video.